Welcome to the Equip Podcast. Here you'll find conversations from people of all different walks of life, sharing their experiences, the things the Lord has taught them, and things to equip you. Equip is based on Ephesians 4:11-13 that talks about equipping God's people for works of service so that the body of Christ may be built up. That is our goal here, to build you up and equip you through seasons of ups and downs in life. Welcome back to the Equip Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Gibson, and today I'm joined by Novalee Mitchell. Novalee is one of our women's ministry team members and has been for almost a year now. She is wife to Andrew and a full-time college student as well. Today, I asked Novalee here to share her story of her and Andrew eloping. I know some of you, I don't think we've done a love story on the Equip Podcast before, so this will be fun for our listeners. Welcome, Novalee.
Thank you. I remember the last time I was on here, I did talk about him briefly, but it was obviously like on a very different subject, so I didn't try to talk about him a whole bunch.
Now we have a whole episode dedicated to your love story.
Perfect.
Well, start us off. How did you and Andrew meet?
Okay, so Andrew and I met 3 years ago in 2022. I had just graduated from high school and he had just graduated from college, which sounds
an older
horrible.
Man.
But I will say I was 19, he was 21, so it's not as concerning as people may assume it is. But we were both in the same Bible study group at our church in Connecticut. Andrew would say that I was a little bit young because he didn't know how old I was.
19.
Yeah. And he graduated from high school and he's like, out, nope. So we just stayed friends for those few years up until about 2024. I had just broken up with an ex-boyfriend. And also during that time, Andrew and I had both signed up to go on the same missions trip in May to go to France together, to go to Lille, France specifically. There we quickly hit it off. We were inseparable the entire trip. We were talking and we were friends beforehand, but I had mentioned I had just broken up with someone and he was like, oh, okay.
How interesting.
Yeah, he's like, this is my opportunity. And so
something about a mission trip love.
I know. And so probably one of my favorite memories of that trip is we were on the bus, like a public bus, to go to one of the host family's house for dinner. And on that bus, we were just talking. And I was like, man, I'm so excited for the bus ride home to talk to him more. And then somehow it didn't end up happening. So the girls had to go to back to our little Airbnb via car, and the guys back to their Airbnb via car as well. And so I was like, dang it. So I had quote unquote accidentally left my Bible in his book bag. So then he brought it back to his Airbnb. And as soon as we both got back, he texted me and he's like, hey, you forgot your Bible. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And he's
That's crazy.
He's like, yeah, exactly. He's like, can I bring it to you? I was like, of course. And so then he brought it to me, but then of course he couldn't just drop it off and say bye. Earlier that day, he went on a little prayer walk and he saw this little old church in the downtown Lille of France, and he's like, can I show you this? And I'm like, obviously. And so it was probably about 11 p.m. at night, and so we set out on our little adventure. We were walking around Lille for probably about 3 or 4 hours at night, holding hands and just talking. And so then after that trip, obviously we hit it off, and then we went on a date right after. And then in June, he asked me to be his girlfriend in 2024. But then a month after, in July, I moved down to Tyler to start my life in Tyler, to go to school and everything. And so then that's how we started long distance dating.
Man, well, and it sounds like, you can tell just from the story how y'all started on such a foundation of Christ and his church.
Yes.
With mission trips and prayer walks, and
it's not the reason to go on mission trips. I want to make that very clear. We did not go on the mission trip just to meet each other, to re-meet each other, whatever. But it's just we both had the intention of going, and this was not something we planned for in going. But I love,
it's a sweet addition.
Yes, and I had grown up with him for those 3 years prior. Of we were in the same community group together, and so even though we weren't super close friends, we saw each other from a distance. Continually showing up and growing, and he saw me got baptized, and we continue just to be in the same circle, and then obviously got smaller and smaller until it was just two of us.
Well, and you got your foundation meeting at church, and I love that.
Yeah.
So how have y'all kept God at the center of your relationship since those early beginnings? What does that look like?
Oh, from the early beginning, obviously, it's pretty hard to be being on a mission trip. But after that, like we, in the high of, coming home from mission trip, but also just in general of like just how on fire we were for the Lord in that season, like we would always share with each other what we were doing in our daily devotionals, what we were reading, what we were learning. We would compare sermon notes all the time. We would begin to start reading books of the Bible together. So I think the first one we did, well, I jumped on to what he was reading. So I think we first started in like Acts, and then we read Romans together. And then I think it was Daniel, and now we're currently in Esther reading that together. So there is no rhyme or reason as to which book we choose. It's just something, and we try to tackle it together. We will pray for each other and with each other. We prioritize community because there are times I'm not going to be able to support Andrew the best to my abilities, and he's not going to be able to do that for me in all the same ways. And so prioritizing Christian community and just being like intimate with each other in that way spiritually, but also like with friends and community. And then overall, just trying to serve each other the best we can and striving for our actions to emulate Christ in all we do.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. Well, tell us a little bit more about long distance and what it was like dating long distance. I mean, you're plane rides away.
Oh, yeah. He was in Connecticut. I was in Tyler. Thinking about this the other night when I was trying to figure out these questions, I wrote down, it's a sweet memory I don't wish to ever relive unless I have to. I said that because it was so very intentional, and with how we dated, it made it a whole lot easier. We were beyond confident in each other in our relationship. Andrew would say that by our second or third day, he like went home to his mom and he was like, I'm going to marry her. Like we didn't like, it was so intentional with the way we dated. We like talked about the things that are needed to in relationships, even if they're not the very beginning, but like as time progressed, like we talked about finances, we talked about our past, we talked about household expectations and marital expectations and like family boundaries and what our relationship with our parents looked like, and like all these things that you are supposed to know beforehand. We didn't want to save that for like years and years. Not that we ever wanted to date for years and years on end, but like we had always said to each other we wanted to date for as long as necessary, but as short as possible. Mm-hmm. So with that is like as long as necessary, and the fact that like we needed to know these things. And if there were things that came up, we'd either like kind of halt it, or if we ever felt like it was needed to stop, that we would have taken a break or maybe broken up. But obviously that didn't happen because we aligned on so many things I don't think we ever really realized. And so then we dated for as short as possible because we didn't really want a long dating process. But it was, looking back on it, there are so many wonderful memories, and the fact that we got to explore all these places together. And he came down, surprised me one time, and he like, we would go around all of Texas. We went to like a BISO conference in Waco. We went to Fredericksburg. And then I remember like we went on a family vacation with his parents and his sister and her fiance to like Grand Cayman. And we did a mission trip to Costa Rica. And so like it was so sweet to like know that there was a lot of intentionality there.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I remember Aaron and I dated long distance, but not near as long of a distance.
Yeah, and times have changed too.
Yes, well, and the surprises, like you can surprise each other, and it's fun to do things like that. And it sounds like y'all really had intentional time when you were together. And I love that.
And we made sure to like keep that intentionality. Even like we would write each other letters too, even though we would talk on the phone every day, we would call every day. We would still like try to write each other letters or like make cards or just. He was very good about like if I think it was for my birthday, he like surprised me with like cookies, or like I would like get him something from like a favorite clothing brand of his. So, like it's just like things that like you can surprise each other in person, but it was like more fun to do it when you're not together.
Delivery services. I mean,
I know, great.
They're doing good things.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, what was it? Tell us about getting engaged.
So we got engaged June 15th of 2025. So it was still somewhat recent. I did see that engagement coming from a mile away. I had my little white dress on. I was telling everyone at work. I was telling all my friends. I was so like confident about it. The day
you saw the ring ahead of time, didn't you?
Yeah. Andrew was not the best about keeping it a secret. He we were on FaceTime one time and I saw the ring box on his windowsill. So that kind of gave it away. But also, I remember there was one memory. It was a month beforehand, so probably about like May 2nd, 3rd, whatever. We had come down to visit. And we were driving home from Dallas, and he was like, hey, on June 15th, we're going to go to a picnic. And I'm like, immediately that like set something off. I'm like
who's planning a month?
Yeah, I was like, okay. And so, and then, but earlier also as well, he was like, are you going to get your hair done, or your nails done when you come to Connecticut? Because like we had other things going on, but like he didn't never really cared that much about it until that timing, of course. And I was like, yeah, I will. And then I like played dumb into it. And I was like, well, what do I wear to this picnic? And he goes, well, you have a little white dress, right? And I'm like, yep. So I immediately ordered a cuter one, obviously. But it was the, after that week that he was here for visiting, the day after I dropped him off at the airport in Dallas, I went home and I wrote a letter with the date of June 15th of like, if you're reading this, I had a suspicion on this day that you're going to propose and all this kind of thing. And so I wrote this sweet letter, but then I was like, well, if I'm wrong, I'm going to burn it and not tell anyone. So I was beyond confident, but I was also just so excited too. Like, I never wanted to be apart from him. And I knew from early on that he was the one, and it felt like it was the obvious next step, and there was no confusion about it, but there was only peace and clarity with it too. And like none of our mentors or friends or family had ever been like, hey, y'all need to slow down, but they were just like, yeah, this makes sense. This is good. And so June 15th at Elizabeth Garden in Connecticut, it's a beautiful rose garden where we had our first date. He asked me to be his wife, and I said yes, obviously. And yeah, it's just the sweetest memory, and it's a sweet place to go back and visit one day.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that y'all have been so intentional throughout your relationship to make sure that you are aligning with where God is leading you to be, whether that is just your own relationships with Jesus or meeting with mentors and counselors. And so I know y'all did premarital counseling. What was that like?
I loved premarital counseling, actually, just because of the way that, again, we've talked about everything that you should be talking about. There was no shock. There was no surprise. And when we had to fill out our questionnaire, our pastor, who we're doing it with, his name is Brandon, he basically saw both Andrew and I grow up, and he has become a really good friend to Andrew. And Brandon was a great male model for me in my life growing up. And so doing it with someone who we knew really well too also helped. But when we had to do like our little questionnaire thing in our first session ever, he was like, y'all are more aligned than most couples I've seen come through our doors. And so just, I credit that all to the way that Andrew led so well in our dating relationship, but also the way that we have so many amazing resources. We read the book Ready or Not, like KNOT.
Oh, so good. Listen, my brother gave me a copy of that book when my husband and I were dating, and I'm pretty sure it's how I convinced him to marry me, because I was like, Aaron, you should read this. Like, my brother gave me this copy. He had an extra one. Like, oh yeah, I read it. It's really good. Like, you should read it. And then he read it, and then we got engaged. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
Scott Kadersha and
thanks, Scott.
Yeah, Ready or Not, shameless plug. It is probably the best book, but also like, it's everything you need to know about this other person. And like, obviously, like, you want to tell them not just because a book is telling you, but it really helped guide conversations and questions, and also allowed us to have different perspectives of those conversations and questions. And so I love premarital. I thought it was a breeze. It was just fun to talk with Brandon and Andrew for an hour. And it was just, I enjoyed it. And I think that it's something that, every couple should do before they get married. Yeah. If they have not discussed those things beforehand.
Our counseling director was telling me, we were talking about premarital counseling the other day, and she was sharing about how important it is to just lay a strong foundation, because marriage is a big deal.
Yeah, it's not something to be taken lightly, that's for sure. And if you're not ready to have those conversations, then it kind of be like, okay, you need to kind of take a step back, take it slow, but also like, I don't know, if you're ready or if you're dating for the intentionality of marriage, then like you should be having those conversations. But I think having a good mentor along with that helps as well.
Yeah, that's good. Well, y'all eventually came to the decision to elope. How did y'all come to that decision?
Oh boy. We were ready to be married. We did not want a long engagement. We had dated for as long as necessary to know each other, but also with the intentionality that it was as short as possible.
Yeah.
And I believe if you're ready to be engaged, you're ready to be married. Boundaries are hard to keep when you love someone. And I don't think this is something that should be a shock to someone or to people, especially like in Christian atmosphere of dating, relationships, marriage, all that kind of thing. Like, we didn't want to struggle. We didn't want to continue to have to like be like, oh, babe, you have to go home. Like, you're staying too late. And he had just moved down here, and we were just trying to like, we were coming up with all these rules of like, hey, like, we're not going to stay over past 9 p.m. We're not going to stay over. But it's like, really? Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to like have to have all these rules. But like, we also knew that they were good. But it's just like, we were so ready to be married at that point. Like, we were ready. And we didn't believe in living together before marriage as well. And like I just said, he had moved down, and we just wanted to be with each other. We just wanted to live with each other. We wanted to share time with each other and also our life together. And I think the way that we did things was to honor God and to honor each other. Andrew and I are focused on our marriage, not a wedding. A big wedding will come one day, but right now we're ready to close a long distance gap and be with each other. I do love that this is my life, my college experience. I love the fact that I get to go home to my husband every day, and I get to be in bed by 9:30 p.m. and we get to just hang out, and I get to do my homework with him, and he gets to watch his football. I love that I get to share my life with Andrew. We are a united front, and we get to experience all the highs and lows with each other. And it's been sweet. I know that we still have a long way to go to become established in careers and to make more money, or just to, I haven't even graduated yet, but like at the same time, like I love that we're broken in our 20s and we're just trusting the Lord through it all. I have found someone who loves and respects and honors me. He is a man of God, and like he is worth submitting to, and I was ready for that, and I could not have imagined it any other way.
Yeah. Well, and what's cool is being on the other side of that, and somebody that not only is a coworker, but a friend, and walking alongside you in this and seeing the back and forth in your brain and how you sought so much counsel from mentors and friends and just each other, figuring out, what do we do? Do we get married and do a big wedding? Do we just elope? And what is it? Well, y'all just decided to go for it, and y'all got married on a random Wednesday. And tell us about that.
That's probably my favorite thing too. So it was right after Fall Friendship Dinner. It was like probably, I think, the day after, actually. That morning on September 10th, I had gone to class, and Andrew was at his job for training for nursing. And so he'd met me in my apartment, and we're just kind of sitting around. And I was like, this is at the time we were supposed to get married on October 11th. And I was like, hey, let's just go to the courthouse and like get the marriage documents, because that was originally our plan. And I was like, there's no harm, no foul to just at least get marriage documents, because we're in the 90 days. We need to do it anyways. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, what if we also just like maybe we got married? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, I had brought his ring like just in case. And so then we got all of our documentation, and we got to the courthouse. We were signing all the paperwork and all that kind of thing. And because Andrew is military, the 72 hours got waived. And so then the clerk was like, well, y'all want to get married today? And like Andrew and I looked at each other. We're like, yeah, let's do it. And so then we went to the JP's office, and she was like, well, y'all need to wait. And we're like, well, we have the 72 hours wait. And she's like, well, do y'all have $100 in cash? And we're like, no, but where's the closest ATM? And so we went downstairs to the lobby, and you could just tell the security guards have seen this happen before, because they're just like, oh my word. But Andrew took a photo of me. I have a photo of like, I have my $100 in cash, my receipt in hand, and just the biggest smile on my face, because we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to get married. And so then we went back up to the JP office, and an hour or so later we walked out, we're married. Andrew did forget my wedding band though, so he just put my engagement ring back on. But like I was in like jeans and a t-shirt and no makeup, and like he was like in just regular clothes too. And so like it was special in the fact that like it was just us, but like I think we're both excited to actually have an actual wedding one day. But I love it because it just felt so natural and so easy, because afterwards I went to class and Andrew went to prayer night, and everyone I've talked to, they're like, you did what? And I was like, I mean, I had to go to class obviously, but it's also like the way that our relationship is, like, it just felt so natural, so easy, and like obvious. And like, it just, I don't know, I knew I was going to see him later because we were going to go home together for the first time. And it was just like the best day ever. I don't really remember what I actually learned in class that day. I'm not going to lie, but I had made the effort to go. But I mean, it was, that was the day we got married, and it was super fun. And we went to Waco that weekend afterwards, and we just kind of kept our secret to ourselves, and we were just kind of had fun in Waco and just kind of did our thing. But it was a very special day and weekend, and something I can't wait to tell my kids one day about how their dad and I got married. And then later on we'll have another story to tell of like the bigger wedding. But
and it's so nice because you removed any commercialization, any extras, any pressure, all these decisions that you have to figure out with a wedding, and you just made it about you and Andrew and the relationship that the Lord has brought you to, which is cool to see. How have you seen God work through your engagement and elopement process?
Kind of as I said before, like there's just been a peace about it. We knew our intentions, and we feel that this was honoring to the Lord. We were ready to just submit to one another and love each other as Christ calls us to. The day we got married again, it was easy and seamless, and we couldn't tell, like you couldn't tell me otherwise that the Lord wasn't with us in that. And so just continuing now, like just seeing his goodness of just like how things have just come with like, getting the house established, and just the transition of like becoming one, but also like making it, there's been a sweetness of just how he has been in our life, but also the encouragement we have gotten through like community and our church and everything like that. That has been just the way that I've seen the Lord's like love like overflow from not just like from one another, but from other people as well.
Well, and the Lord has clearly put his hand on y'all's relationship and marriage, and it's been really sweet to see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your love story with us. As you know, we have 2 questions to end every podcast. Yes. What is something you're learning, and what is something you're loving?
Something I'm learning is how to manage control and stress, and that I was in Connect group last night, and Haley, one of my friends, she was saying something about like the Lord calls us to rest, but then we also forget that like we can rest in him. So even though like if we may not want to always do quiet time, like that is rest. And then the same way like that can help with the stress and the control issues of just like what's going to happen next, and how is this going to work out when it comes to like planning other things, or like getting furniture situated, or like just, I don't know, just the things that you want to have control over, but like you can't because you just have to be patient in things. So that's something I'm learning. And something I'm loving is decorating my own home for fall. I got some cute fall decor from like Home Goods and Hobby Lobby, and they have all my money now, but I have my own house to decorate, and that's just been something I have been loving. And the fact that I get to make a space, mine and Andrew's, and we can like integrate like our own personalities, our own touches into an area and call it our own. So
yeah, man, that's sweet. Well, Novalee, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Equip podcast. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know when a new episode drops, and follow us on social media to stay connected. We're at GABC_women. See you next time.